So let's take resolution of vectors. You see, let me introduce the concept of resolution. You see, first of all, it's important to note that physicists like working with either 2 or 3 axes, the x-axis, the y-axis, or you say the vertical axis, and the horizontal axis. We have the z, but at this level, I'm concentrating on just 2 axes. So we've not gotten to the 3rd axis here. And so, but in mechanics or physics, we resolve between these 2 axes or between these 3 axes. Like I said, I will be focusing just on the 2 axes. And so let's say we have a vector, or first of all, take note that this is what we call the vertical axis. And this is what we call the horizontal axis. You call it, this is the x-axis or horizontal axis. And this is what we call the y-axis or vertical axis. Take note of that. Now, if a vector is in the vertical, you actually don't need to resolve that vector. Or if a vector is in the horizontal, you don't need to resolve that vector. And so, if a vector is like this, there's no need to resolve it. It has taken an axis on its own. So this vector is purely a vertical vector. And if a vector is like this, you don't need to resolve it. This vector is purely an horizontal vector. But in some cases, we often have vectors that are inclined like this. Inclined in the sense that it makes an angle either to the vertical or to the horizontal. Now, let's say this is make an angle of theta to the horizontal. Now, this vector now, you can't say it's in the vertical. Neither will you say it's in the horizontal. And so what we do is that we try to find the effect of this vector in the horizontal and the effect of this vector in the vertical. You see, let's assume this vector P, for instance. You see, the effect of this vector in the horizontal is what we call the horizontal component. And the effect of this vector in the vertical is what we call vertical component. And how do we do that actually? You see, what you ought to do simply is to trace this vector to the horizontal. If here is 20, for instance, maybe you measure it with a ruler and it's 20. If you trace this horizontally, wherever it touches the horizontal, measure from the origin again to that point. Whatever value it gives to you, that is the horizontal component. Most often, I represent it with P of X or P subscript X. That's a P that have X underneath it. Now, the vertical component, how do you get that? Trace this to the vertical. And then you measure distance from here to here. Wherever it touches the vertical, even measure distance from here to here. That will give you what we call the vertical component. But like I would often say, most of these things can be gotten by trigonometry. And that's because you not always have your ruler or your graph to actually do this accurately. Now, the vertical component, distance from here to here is called PY. Now, how do you get this actually? You can use trigonometry. Knowing fully well that here is PY. This is a rectangle actually. And because it's a rectangle, opposite side of a rectangle are equal. So if here is PY, here should be PY. And if here is PS, here should also be PX. Now, you can use trigonometry by saying, what is cos theta? Now, the vector itself is the hypotenuse, which is called a P. Let me clean this. Let me put the P here. This is the vector P. Now, we can say cos theta is, using a SOHCAHTOA. So, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. This is the opposite, which is the P of Y, the vertical component. And then the hypotenuse is just this. And this is the adjacent. So adjacent is P of X, which is the horizontal component, over the vector P, the hypotenuse. So eventually, if you cross multiply this, you get a P of X. Horizontal component is usually the vector P times cos theta. So if you want to get the horizontal component, multiply the vector by cos theta in this case. Also, we can say that sin theta is opposite of hypotenuse. That's P of Y. Vertical component, that is what P of Y stands for, over the hypotenuse P. And by the time you cross multiply, you get that P of Y is equal to P multiplied by sin theta. But you see, I have an easier method I use in doing all of this, and let me show you that method. Now, the idea is this. Let me assume this is the vector, and this is the vector now, and I want to resolve to the horizontal. Now, if I'm resolving to the horizontal, you notice that I'm swiping through the angle. I'm resolving to the axis where the angle lies, meaning that the angle lies between the horizontal and the vertical. If I'm resolving towards where the angle lies, I will multiply the vector by cos theta. Now, if I'm resolving this thing to where the angle does not lie, I'll multiply the vector P by sin theta. That's just the idea. So, well, that's my rule actually. I call it Mr. Izu rule. And you see, resolving towards the axis where the angle lies, multiply the vector by cos theta to get the component of that axis. Where the angle lies. While resolving to the axis where there is no angle, multiply the vector by sin theta to get the component of that vector to the axis. So what I mean is this now. Let's say we have another vector like this. This is vertical and this is horizontal now. I have a vector like this and the angle is here. Obviously, the vertical component here is what we call P of Y and the other component is what we call P of X. Now, if you want to get your P of Y, what do? Pay attention. Are you swiping through the angle? If you are swiping through the angle, you multiply the vector P. This vector P, multiply it by cos theta. So, while resolving towards where the angle lies, you multiply the vector by cos theta. And if you want to get the P of X, that means resolving where the angle does not lie, because I'm resolving towards the horizontal where the angle does not lie now. I need to multiply the vector P by sin theta. That's just the idea. Look at this again now. Let's say this is T, and this is Tx, and this is Ty. Let's assume the angle is here. Obviously, what will be Tx? Resolving towards the axis where the angle lies, that will be multiplying the vector T by cos theta. That's what the rule is saying. Resolving towards the axis where the angle lies, multiply the vector by cos theta to get the component of that axis. And resolving to the axis where there is no angle, multiply the vector by sin theta. The vector is T by sin theta. You get the component towards that axis. So that's just what the idea about resolution. And we take questions now. Example 1. A force of 10 Newton acts at an angle of 25 degrees. Find its horizontal and vertical components. To solve this question, let's sketch the diagram. Now this is the force, and the magnitude is 10 Newton, and it makes an angle of 25 degrees to the horizontal. Now remember the rule now, resolving horizontally. And since you are resolving towards where the angle is, your horizontal component, which is what we call fx, will be 10 cos 25. And that will be 9.063. That's because cos 25 is 0.9063. Now, what's our fy? To the vertical. I'm resolving to where the force, where there is no angle. That will be the force times sine theta. 10 sine 25 degree. And this will give us 4.23 Newton. Example 2. A force of 100 Newton acts at an angle of 40 degrees to the vertical. Find its horizontal and vertical components. Again, we need a sketch for this question. Not necessarily, we can solve without the sketch, but it's good we sketch. Let's say this is the force now, 100 Newton. I'm making an angle of 40 degrees to the vertical, and this is the horizontal. Now, if I'm looking for the horizontal component, that is what we call f of x. Now, because this force is not inclined to the horizontal, there's no angle towards the horizontal. Though you can still go and get the angle here, which is 50 degrees. But you don't need to do that. Just say this is 100. Now, I'm resolving horizontally towards where the angle, where there's no angle that lies there. You can't see the angle. The angle is not given. It is 100 sine 40. And this is going to simply be 4.226 Newton. Now, f of y, that is resolving towards the vertical, where the angle lies, is going to be 100 sine, 100 cos, 100 cos 50, because the angle lies there, cos 40, and the angle lies there. And if you do that, that's going to give you 7 points. So this is 42.26 Newton. And this is going to be 76.6 Newton. That's that about this question. Example 3, the horizontal and vertical component of a force is 9.063 Newton and 4.23 Newton respectively. What is the magnitude of the force? And so for this question, we are given that the f of x is 9.063 Newton and the f of y is given as 4.23 Newton. Now we have to get the force. Actually, to get this is what we do. F, the force, is simply the square root of f of x squared plus f of y squared. So this is going to give us 9.063 squared plus 4.23 squared, all into square roots. This is approximately give us 10 Newton. This is like the opposite of our question 1, if you remember. In question 1, we have the force to be 10 Newton, and we are supposed to go and get the horizontal and vertical components. Now, another thing you could be asked here is the angle the force make with the horizontal. Well, to do that, all you just need to do is to say the angle it make with the horizontal is given as theta is equal to tan inverse of f of y over f of x, which is tan inverse of the f of y is given as 4.23 and the f of x is given as 9.063. If you do this, you're going to get approximately 25 degrees. And that was the angle we had when we solved this as the example 1 actually. So that's that about this question. Example 4, a nail on a vertical wall is pulled by a rope that makes an angle of 30 degrees to the vertical. Calculate 1, the effective force that pulls the nail out of the wall. 2, the effective force which tends to bend the nail. And so here, let's say we have a vertical wall. This is the wall now, and a nail enters into the wall. So this is it. And this is the nail, and this is the wall. This is the wall, and this is the nail. This is the head of the nail. And let's say this nail is pulled by a rope. That's what we're trying to say in this question. And the force is 100 Newton. And this rope make an angle of 30 degrees to the vertical. So create a vertical line here, 30 degrees. So we're looking for the effective force that tend to pull the nail out of the wall, and the effective force that tend to bend the nail. The nail that put in the force that put the nail out of the wall is the force that acts in the horizontal. And when you want to put the nail out of the wall, it's going to be like this, pull out of the wall. So this is simply asking us in the first part of this question to get the horizontal components. That's what they're asking us to get. And the effective force that tend to bend the nail. If you want to bend this nail, drag this force like this. This nail will bend. So the first case, they're asking us to get our horizontal component, which is our fx. If you are resolving this to the horizontal, what's it going to be? You are resolving the way there is no force. It will be 100 sine 30. And that will give us 50 Newton. And the second part, the effective force that tends to bend the nail is the Fy, which is going to be 100 cos 30. And that's going to give us 86.6 Newton. That's that for this question.